Lake Geneva Furniture Finishes. And tonight we're going to add some texture to this bookcase. Now you can see it's a pretty color, but it's painted, it's kind of flat. So we're going to give it some texture. In fact, what we're going for is something that looks like this. Now, I've added cracked patina on this, and then to make it stand out more so that you can really see the graining, because it doesn't show up on photographs, is that I've added cerusing wax with some mica powder that makes it stand out. So, before we get started on that, well, let's review what this is and what we've done to it so far. Now, my wonderful brother-in-law, Joe, made me 2 of these cases, and they're about 4 by 6. And what we're going to do with them, there's raw wood. You know, when we're looking at refinishing, we're frequently refinishing things that have a factory finish on them. But this was raw wood, and you have to treat raw wood a little bit differently. So besides sanding to get all the surfaces smooth, we also put on a coat of shellac that, because pine has knots, and when it's raw wood, there may still be sap in those knots. You don't want that coming through 6 months after you painted this and ruining your finish. So put a coat, well actually 2 light coats of this shellac over the knots so that the sap won't come through. Now we've done that to this case. And then we've also painted 2 coats. Now I think it's a really pretty color for furniture. It's Amy Howard's A Good Man is Hard to Find. And it's her one-step paint. Now that, just because it says one-step paint doesn't mean you don't have to do 2 coats of it. We do 2 coats basically of just about everything. So there's 2 coats of that dark gray paint here. And then you see it's kind of shiny. You can kind of see over here. You can see the shine. And what I've done already is that I've added a coat of this Amy Howard Cracked Patina. Now, the way you treat this cracked patina, and I'll show you. All right, paint, everything else, you shake it. So, we're shaking it. Now we're going to add some. I have a little glass dish here. I'm going to add some to the dish. Oops, a little too much. Okay, now you can see, there it is. That is the cracked patina. Now, as it's sitting around, it tends to get thicker. So what you can do is that you can add a little water to it. Now, this is just plain tap water. But what I've done is that it's not fresh out of the faucet. This is at room temperature, because the temperature of the water can affect the patina when you put it on. So use room temperature water, and I just keep one of these little bottles lying around. And then just squirt a little bit in there, not a whole lot. Depends on how thick it is. And then you take a brush and you stir it around. Okay? Until you're happy. And of course, how do you know if you're happy? Well, just keep trying it. This is a process that you're going to have to practice. This is probably not anything you're going to pick up the first time. Painting is easy. This process is a little bit more complicated, and it takes time to do it properly. Okay, so now we've got that on there. I've already applied it to the side, and the reason I did that before we started this presentation is that it has to dry for a minimum of 1 hour, possibly 2 hours, depending on weather conditions. So you want this as dry as it's going to get before you put anything else on top of it. So that's what I've already done on here. We've got a coat of the cracked patina on here. Now what's the next step? What we're going to do is we're going to put another coat of the This Good Man is Hard to Find paint on there again. So and I shake everything up. And God willing, I have a good grip on the lid when I'm doing this. Okay, Now, I'm going to put, with my chip brush here, well, this is actually a regular painting brush. Oh, it's not going to be a whole lot, but I'm going to do one light coat of paint on here. And this, I'm afraid, is going to be kind of hard to see. That's why I have my little sample. So I'm just going to do one small section, and there's a reason for that in a minute. I will tell you. Let's see if I got it on there evenly. Looks like it's pretty good. Okay. Now, in fact, I'm going to bring this closer and maybe we'll, come on, help me. I have an assistant with me tonight. Come on forward. Because I want you to watch paint dry. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see it there. And while you're watching it crack, because the minute I put the paint on here, it's going to start to crack. It just means that the cracked patina will actually bubble through the paint. And sometimes it makes it look like alligator skin, and sometimes it just makes it look kind of bumpy. Now we're going to, while we're watching this dry, let me tell you about the mistakes I've made with this. Because to me that's the most valuable thing somebody can tell me is how did they screw up? Now first off, I didn't put enough cracked patina on there. I put the cracked patina on, I put the coat of paint on, I'm going, is something supposed to happen? Well, it didn't. Nothing happened. It didn't crack, it didn't do anything. It just sat there. And I thought, well, this isn't right. The other thing I did is that I waited too long. We're going to do something this to enhance the texture. Whoops. What is my assistant doing?
Are you on?
What, you want to see me? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now what I did is that I let the paint dry. Well, the minute the paint's dry, there is nothing more you can do to this. And we are going to do something more to this. So, your two biggest mistakes you can make is don't put enough cracked patina on so nothing happens when you put the paint on. Or you wait till the top coat of the paint is dry and then it's too late and nothing happens. So how do you avoid these things? Fortunately, there's a very easy fix. You just do it over again. You just put another layer of cracked patina on there and another layer of paint. Try again. In fact, there is a technique where you put cracked patina on there, you put a layer of paint, you put another layer of cracked patina on, you put another layer of paint deliberately, and then you will see both, and the two layers of paint are different colors. So you'll see the different layers of different colored paint coming through. That's also possible with this technique. But right now, I'm just going for texture. I want it to look like it's got wood grain. So, let's see how we're doing over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost done. Okay. So let's talk about how I'm going to do it. This is my faithful chip brush. Okay. Now, when you're painting, you go like this. You hold the brush back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. What I'm going to do for this is that I'm going to hold it like this. Okay? And I'm going to put my fingers on the brush. You can see it forms kind of a W in that brush. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, now,
Don't do that thing.
let's see how is this doing. You're looking for tack. Okay, we could probably give that a minute or two, but let's try it anyway. What I'm going to do now is create the texture. And the way you do this is that I'm going to put it on the side like this, and I'm going to press down real hard. I'm going to drag, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to drag some more, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to drag some more and then I'm going to stop. But you can see that this is a fairly time-consuming process, and if you have too much paint out there, it's going to dry before you get to it. So make sure that you are only doing a small section at a time so that you will actually get the texture you're going for. Okay. Now, starting on the left side here. Okay. What we're going to do, can you see? I'm holding it right here, and I'm going to drag it down and stop. 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 Is that working?
No, let me get it right.
Okay.
Where is it?
We're having technical difficulties.
There we
Okay. Drag it and stop. Like that. Okay. Now,
Do it again.
what I'm trying to do is I'm actually removing paint. This is called a negative tool. So to do the next column, I'm going to flip the brush over and do the same thing going down. So I'm going to be up here. I'm going to pull, drag, drag and stop, drag and stop, drag and stop. Okay. And I'm going to go across because I have to do the whole thing or it's not going to look right. Now, one other thing about the cracked patina while you're watching me do this, it can never be the top coat. So it is not a wax. You have to put something on top of it. It is in the middle of layers of one-step paint. And I probably should have waited a little bit longer, but this is to demonstrate. And like I said, if I don't like it, I'll just do it again. I don't want that. See, we're pulling off paint there too much. Okay. But that's a general idea. Now, what's going to happen? Let's see, look at this. And you can see where I dragged it and I stopped, and it just makes little marks in the paint that look remarkably like wood grain. And that's what we're going for. Now, we want this to be nice and smooth so that when you feel it, it feels nice. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to come back. One step should dry for about a half an hour, 20 minutes. I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to lightly sand it just to get it smooth. And then I'm going to put another coat of the one-step paint on here. And then that way it will be something that you'll like to touch, but it will show texture and you'll be able to see it in the light. It will catch the light. And then we're also going to do some waxing techniques so you can see how we get it from this flat dark gray to this. Because this is cerusine wax with mica powder in it. And it really makes it stand out. Now, of course, you can stop at any point in this process. You don't have to do any of this stuff. I mean, it's a pretty paint. You can stop with just putting a couple paints of the coat on it and put some wax on it. But if you want to add some texture to it and make it a little bit more interesting, give it a little character, then this is a process that will do it for you. Okay, let me just check my notes and make sure I've said everything I want to. Okay. Yes. Oh, one other thing. It works best with dark paint. It really doesn't work terribly well with white paint. I've tried it just to see what it would actually look like. And it doesn't look very good. It looks much better with black or dark gray type paint like this. And this is the finished product, and that's dark gray. Okay. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Oh, you have a question?
I do.
Yes.
Would you go over what you do now? I mean, one more time after this, after
Oh,
you
yeah.
scrape it off?
Scrape it off?
I mean, now you've rubbed it. Well, you've rubbed it off with your paintbrush.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to let the paint dry.
Yeah.
Remember, I just put a coat of paint on there. 20 minutes, half an hour. I'll let it dry. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to sand it lightly to get it smoother. You're still going to see the texture on there. You won't sand it off completely. And then I'm going to put another light coat of the same dark gray color over it. And then it will come out with texture, but it will be very smooth to the touch, which is how you want your furniture to feel. Not like you've just dragged it over a gravel road.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much for coming. Next time, we're going to start on the shelves. It'll be very exciting. Thank you very much.